What if I told you that the next watch you buy for under $5,000 could be worth 10 times that in just a couple of years? It sounds outrageous, but it isn't without precedent. Vintage Rolex Submariners once sold for a few $100s. Omega Speedmasters could be had for well under $1,000 just a few decades ago. Even certain Seikos that nobody cared about in the 1970s are now fetching thousands at auction. History has a way of rewarding the overlooked. And today, we're going to talk about 7 watches that sit under $5,000 right now, accessible to most collectors, that have all the ingredients to explode in value by 2027. Some are discontinued, some are undervalued sleepers, and others are modern classics in the making. Time to get into it. Number 1. The Seiko SKX007. If there's one watch that defines the phrase cult classic, it's the Seiko SKX007. For years, it was the undisputed king of affordable dive watches, ISO certified, rugged, automatic, and endlessly modifiable. At one point, you could walk into a shop and buy one for under $200. Fast forward to today, and with production long discontinued, the SKX has transformed into a collector's darling. In 2025, clean examples of the SKX007 trade for $500 to $700, and mint, unworn examples are beginning to push beyond $1,000. That's already a 3 to 5 times increase from its original street price. Why is it still climbing? Because the SKX is pure authenticity. It wasn't marketed as a luxury piece. It was a tool watch that earned respect from divers, hobbyists, and watch enthusiasts alike. Its discontinued status means every scratch-free example that survives becomes more precious. Collectors often compare it to vintage Rolex Submariners. Of course, the SKX will never touch Submariner values, but the trajectory is eerily similar. An affordable dive watch, underappreciated in its time, suddenly recognized as a design icon once it disappeared. By 2027, many believe a pristine SKX007 could easily be a $3,000 to $5,000 watch, and considering how common it once was, that's an incredible story of value growth. Number 2. The Tissot PRX Powermatic 80. Integrated bracelet watches are one of the hottest categories in watchmaking. Think of the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak or the Patek Philippe Nautilus, 2 of the most expensive sought-after watches on Earth. But what if I told you that Tissot has created the most accessible entry into this design language, and it costs under $1,000? Enter the Tissot PRX Powermatic 80. With its sharp case, integrated bracelet, and beautifully textured dials, especially the blue and green variants, it looks like something that should cost 10 times more. And because it's powered by the Powermatic 80 movement, you're getting Swiss reliability with an 80-hour power reserve. That's a spec most Rolex owners can only dream of. Retail pricing in 2025 is about $725, but limited edition PRX models, like the ice blue and gold accented variations, already fetch premiums of $1,000 to $1,200. Collectors have noticed, and here's where it gets interesting. When mainstream enthusiasts eventually realize the PRX offers the same integrated bracelet feel as a Royal Oak or Nautilus without the 6-figure price tag, demand will only climb. By 2027, certain PRX models could easily be trading for $3,000 to $5,000, putting them at Rolex Oyster Perpetual levels, but with far less frustration to acquire. Number 3. The Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical. In a world where watch sizes keep ballooning, Hamilton did something remarkable. They reintroduced the humble, no-nonsense field watch in its purest form. The Khaki Field Mechanical, with its 38mm case, hand-wound movement, and rugged NATO strap, channels the exact watches Hamilton produced for the US military in the mid-20th century. At retail, it sells for around $625. On the secondary market, discontinued dial colors like the brown and limited khaki variants already command closer to $800 to $900. But here's the kicker: watches with true military heritage always appreciate. Just look at the explosion in demand for old military-issued submariners and dirty dozen watches. As collectors shift towards smaller, vintage-inspired designs, the Khaki Field Mechanical could become the affordable vintage Rolex of its category. And because it's a hand-wound watch, it has that old-school charm that connects the wearer directly to the movement. That emotional factor alone can push desirability higher. By 2027, expect to see early Khaki field mechanical runs fetching multiples of their current retail, especially those in limited colors or with patina that enhances their vintage character. So, there you have it. The first 3 watches under $5,000 that could explode in value: the discontinued Seiko SKX007, the red-hot Tissot PRX Powermatic 80, and the historically rich Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical. All 3 are accessible right now, but the writing is on the wall. Scarcity, design significance, and shifting collector tastes are lining them up for serious appreciation, and we're just getting started. Before we continue, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our weekly watch insights. Number 4. The Seiko Alpinist. The Alpinist is one of those watches that was never meant to be a global hit, but it became one anyway. Originally introduced in 1959 for Japanese mountaineers, it was built as a rugged tool watch with elegant proportions. For decades, it flew under the radar, but in the last 10 years, it's exploded in popularity among collectors. Retail pricing in 2025 sits around $725 for the Prospex Alpinist models, but older JDM, Japanese domestic market editions like the SARB017 Green Alpinist, have skyrocketed. What once sold for $350 new now regularly fetches $1,000 to $1,200, and some pristine examples push even higher. The trajectory is undeniable. Why? Because the Alpinist isn't just a watch, it's a story. It represents Seiko's first true sports watch, built for the outdoors with a unique internal rotating compass bezel and cathedral hands that give it a vintage charm. Collectors love watches that combine history, character, and scarcity, and the Alpinist checks every box. By 2027, many believe discontinued Alpinist references, especially the SARB models, could easily 5 times or 10 times from their original retail. Number 5. The King Seiko Reissues. For years, Grand Seiko took all the spotlight as Seiko's premium offering. But King Seiko, which rivaled Grand Seiko in the 1960s and 70s, has made a comeback with modern reissues. At retail, these pieces sit around $1,800 to $2,000, offering incredible finishing, sharp case lines, and dials that rival watches far above their price point. The appeal of King Seiko is tied directly to its history. This was the brand that once competed head-to-head with Grand Seiko for accuracy and prestige within Seiko itself. When it was discontinued, it faded into obscurity. Now, with its revival, collectors are rediscovering its importance. Already, limited editions and discontinued dial variants are trading at a premium. Collectors are starting to speculate that just like early Grand Seiko pieces became cult classics, modern King Seiko models could do the same. By 2027, certain references could easily double or triple, especially if Seiko once again pauses production or shifts focus away from the line. Number 6. The Orient Bambino Limited Editions. The Orient Bambino is often dismissed as just an entry-level dress watch, but here's the secret. Certain limited editions have already begun to climb in value. Standard Bambinos can be had for under $300, but limited runs with unique dial colors, especially those with sunburst blue, champagne, or textured patterns, have doubled in price on the secondary market, sometimes reaching $600 to $700. So why could the Bambino 10 times? It comes down to accessibility and design. The Bambino is one of the few sub-$500 watches that actually feels like a classic dress piece, with domed crystals, clean dials, and vintage proportions. For younger collectors starting out, it's often their very first mechanical watch. That creates an emotional connection. And as supply of limited editions dries up, nostalgia kicks in. We've seen this play out countless times. Entry-level watches dismissed as cheap, when new become cultural touchstones when collectors look back. Think of the Seiko SKX or Swatch's System 51. Both gained cult status after discontinuation. The Bambino, particularly its limited dials, could follow the same trajectory. By 2027, don't be surprised if certain Bambinos trade in the $1,500 to $2,000 range, especially for mint examples. Number 7. Microbrand sleepers, Baltic and Christopher Ward. The last pick isn't a single watch, but a category. Microbrands that have earned real respect in the horological community. Baltic, a French brand inspired by vintage designs, and Christopher Ward, a British company focused on high-quality Swiss movements at fair prices, are leading the charge. Take Baltic's Aquascape, for example. Retailing around $750, it delivers vintage dive watch charm with modern specs. Early limited runs of the Aquascape have already doubled on the secondary market, with collectors recognizing the brand's unique identity. Similarly, Christopher Ward's C65 and C60 models, priced around $900 to $1,200, have gained traction thanks to their blend of design, finishing, and COSC certified movements. Here's the thing, microbrands operate in small production numbers. That scarcity means that once a model sells out, it's gone, and values climb quickly. Just like early Helios or Ming watches now sell for multiples of their retail, Baltic and Christopher Ward could be the next wave. By 2027, certain early microbrand references could be trading for 5 times or 10 times their original price, especially as the brands build their reputations further. Collectors often overlook microbrands, but that's exactly what makes them such intriguing investment plays. They're small enough to fly under the radar now, but as their stories are written, the value could explode. So there you have it, the final 4 watches under $5,000 that could 10x in value by 2027. The Seiko Alpinist, the King Seiko reissues, the Orient Bambino limited editions, and the rising stars of microbrands like Baltic and Christopher Ward. Each represents a different angle on what makes a watch collectible. Heritage, scarcity, emotional connection, and independent spirit. Taken together with the SKX007, Tissot PRX, and Hamilton Khaki Field Mechanical from the first half, we've built a full list of 7 watches that are accessible today but could be worth many times more tomorrow. And that's the lesson here. You don't need to chase a Rolex Daytona or a Patek Nautilus to make a smart watch investment. Sometimes the biggest winners are sitting quietly in the affordable tier, just waiting for the world to wake up. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our weekly watch insights. Until next time, stay stylish and stay informed.